In the vast landscape of employment, a testimony to mankind's relentless pursuit of progress and stability, there exists a rarely discussed, often misunderstood phenomenon, the job gap. It is a harbinger of stories untold, of circumstances unforeseen, and resilience untapped. Today we delve into the chronicles of those who've traversed the uncertain wilderness of unemployment and emerged with new perspectives. A gentle reminder that the worth of a candidate stretches beyond uninterrupted timelines. Our story begins in the early 2000s, a period marked by economic expansion, followed by the abruptness of a crippling recession. Here we meet Jonathan Hales, a dedicated electronics engineer in the bustling city of San Jose. His career, like many of his generation, was a portrait of diligence. Years of service painted on a canvas of silicon and circuits. But in 2008, the canvas ripped. The recession took hold. Factories closed, projects canceled. Jonathan, along with countless others, found himself adrift in a sea of uncertainty. His job, a casualty to forces beyond control. A year passed, then two. The economy whispered promises of recovery, but for many, the echoes of interviews and rejections amassed into canyons of silence. Jonathan's resume now bore a gap that many employers viewed not as a scar of survival, but as a void of potential liability. His expertise, once sought after, now overshadowed by a chronological void. Fast forward to 2011. In this chapter, we cross paths with Julia Stone, a human resources manager in the metropolis of New York. Julia, heartened by the stories of resilience in the wake of the recession, began to advocate for a shift in perspective, a plea to her colleagues to discern the inherent value in candidates like Jonathan. She proposed something radical for the time, that a job gap, rather than a stigma, could represent a period of growth, of learning, and introspection. As we navigate through the remainder of this decade, a slow yet seismic shift occurs. Across industries, from tech conglomerates in the valleys of California to finance firms in the canyons of Wall Street, the narrative begins to change. Jonathan and many like him, once relegated to the peripheries, find themselves welcomed into interviews not in spite of their employment gaps, but with a curiosity for the character carved during their interval in the wild. And what of our heroes today? Jonathan Hales used the time during his gap to master new programming languages, to volunteer in teaching disadvantaged youth about technology. When given the chance to return, his diversified skill set and enriched empathy became assets invaluable to a company looking to navigate an ever-changing digital terrain. Meanwhile, Julia Stone's advocacy blossomed into an enduring philosophy for hiring practices, with job fairs and seminars reinforcing the message she so passionately championed, that every gap bears a tale worth hearing, every individual a potential yet to be realized. In closing, let this reflection on the narrative of employment gaps serve as an ode to the myriad journeys within the professional realm. For history teaches us that progress is neither linear nor conforming to the rigidity of a timeline. As the echoes of our past remind us, a job gap shouldn't be the sole measure to dismiss nor define a candidate. For within these intermissions, inside these interludes of employment, lie reservoirs of resilience, innovation, and undaunted spirit, waiting but for the chance to contribute once more to the great tapestry of our workforce. And so we conclude this episode not with an ending, but with an invitation to view the chapters of one's career not only as a succession of roles held, but rather as a compendium of human experience, rich, diverse, and profoundly telling of the resilience inherent within us all. Until next time, may we continue to honor the stories behind the resumes and regard the gaps not as voids, but as bridges to broader horizons.